Well, this week, we do have kind of the busier time of gaming for the year, starting up with Gamescom, opening night live, kicking things off, starting August 20th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific time, which I generally prefer some of these shows to be earlier on in the day. Obviously, over in Germany, it'd be later on at night, but time zone differences, I think, lines up a bit more favorably for us here, because we can go through and kind of digest the news a bit more, and it gives me a little more time for Newswave the following day. But nonetheless, Gamescom, after last year, I kind of see less hype going into it because last year was mostly updates on games that we already knew about. But I actually think this year will be a bit better in terms of games that are shown off and some surprises, which does include games as well as guests, according to Jeff Keighley. But what I wanted to do today is go over some of the stuff we can expect this week and even a few predictions and maybe surprises we could see here that I think is going to set up a pretty good week as well as rest of the year, because things are starting to get a bit ridiculous for gaming when it comes to the release schedule we have to look forward to for Q4, but we'll talk about that here today. So if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. So Jeff Keighley did put out a list of games that we can expect to see there, and then we also had some press releases go out from other companies that are going to be attending Gamescom, whether it's there on the floor, maybe showcasing some of their games, or just there for Open Night Live with a trailer or announcement. But Jeff, as I mentioned with his list, starting at the top was Call of Duty Black Ops 6. The marketing push is in full force right now. We've already seen zombies, competitive multiplayer, discussion around campaigns. So there's still a lot of that for them to show as they get closer to what's going to be a massive release for 2024. Obviously, a big anchor for holiday with Microsoft and Sony. And we have Monster Hunter Wilds, which will have its first gameplay there, which we've seen shots here and there and glimpses of gameplay in the trailers, but I assume this is going to be more along the lines of them sitting down, playing it, narrating over what's happening for a somewhat extended period of time. Could be a couple of minutes, but more sitting down and showing it without doing quick cuts here and there. We also have Little Nightmares 3, Replaced got delayed to 2025, but they did say that they will have some sort of surprise for the folks at home who aren't attending Gamescom. So I figure a demo, maybe? I think that'd be cool because this game was originally supposed to come out in 2022, and here we are now in 2024 talking about delay to 2025. So it's taking a bit longer, but I think at least a demo would give us an idea as to what the game plays like, because the most striking part so far about it are certainly the visuals. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero will be here as well, and I assume they're just going to show off more characters, and that's kind of been their thing for marketing, is show off different characters throughout these months leading up to release in trailers. And I think it's worked pretty well so far. Batman Arkham Shadow, this is a VR meta game. We're going to see our first gameplay, and then it's out in like a month or two, so we'll see how that goes. Squid Game Unleashed, this is a multiplayer mobile game on Netflix. I mean, sure, multiplayer game for Squid Games, it's popular on Netflix. I guess that can work out for the audience. It's not really one that I'm looking towards because mobile game, Netflix, but still, we'll see how it turns out. New game from Tarsier Studios, and this is one that people have been curious about, especially after a recent trailer was released that seems to be lining up this reveal as some new kind of experience, seemingly in the horror sector. But in that trailer, they did have a little excerpt that reads, "From the creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2 comes an entirely new vision, unlike anything you've seen." Now, they moved off of Little Nightmares after the second one, and Little Nightmares 3, I'd have to double check. I think it's being done by Supermassive, but nonetheless, they're on to new stuff here, so we're going to find out, Gamescom, what exactly they've been crafting here after Little Nightmares 2. Sid Meier's Civilization 7, I know people are very excited for this one who are really into Civ stuff. I'm not, but still, it'll be good, obviously, to see more information for people who are. Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws should be here, as Ubisoft is looking to make a big push for like their last big push for marketing for Outlaws, and then continuing on with Shadows, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which I believe got moved into next year, and then Lost Records Bloom and Rage. Now, as I mentioned, Jeff said that there would be new game reveals as well as guests, so I have a few predictions there, but I also wanted to point out that Microsoft is going to be here in full force. While Nintendo and Sony have said that they are opting out of Gamescom, specifically on the showroom floor, they could still have some little announcements here and there through trailers, and clearly they're going to be represented heavily by third parties at this event. Microsoft is going to not only be there, but they will be streaming for 3 full days. And their schedule that they posted over on Twitter X, you can see, Xbox at Gamescom live stream. I mean, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, they have a ton of stuff that they're showcasing here, from Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, to Stalker 2, to Atomfall, to Starfield Shattered Space, World of Warcraft. They have some third-party stuff in there with Star Wars Outlaws, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Life is Strange, Aura History Untold, Indiana Jones. I mean, the list goes on and on and on for stuff they'll be showcasing on these different live streams. So you want to pick out some of the games that you're curious about here, just make a mental note or just write it down when it's going to be streamed, and you should be able to check in, I guess, on their own channel as they show here for YouTube and Twitch and Facebook, and kind of keep tabs on this. I assume it's going to be done similar to what we see Nintendo having done with their Treehouse, or even Microsoft previously at Gamescom events, where they just sit down. They usually have like some chairs or a couch or something out on the showroom floor, and they'll just talk with developers about their game at times while they're sitting there playing it with them, which I do like, those more casual, laid back presentations where they just kind of hang out and talk about the game, because a lot of times they'll just kind of throw out information maybe we weren't supposed to know about, and it's just a more human approach, I guess, rather than just a lot of PR statements and very curated trailers. So I typically like these Treehouse, these live presentations sort of events that these companies do, so I'll be checking in from time to time based on what they're showing, especially something like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I'm very curious how that one's going to turn out, as well as a lot of other Microsoft's games. So that's the big thing, is we're expecting a lot of release dates from Microsoft, specifically Indiana Jones and The Great Circle. I kind of feel like December is a good slot for this one, that first week, because from what I've seen, there's really nothing set up for December at this time, like at all. If you look up any of the release schedules that we have currently, and a lot of websites will keep them and then update them as you go, you'll see September is like packed to the gills right now. We have games releasing on top of games. Kind of starting to see that with October now, and I feel like after this event specifically, with release dates getting thrown out all over the place, October is going to be packed. Kind of November as well, but like December is just wide open. Feel like that first week is set up perfectly for Indiana Jones. Starfield Shattered Space, we need a release date for that one, and I kind of wonder if that's just coming out next month in September. It's not a brand new game announcement, it's DLC. So they can do a quick, like, okay, here's more information about it, here's when it's coming out 30 days from now. So that's kind of what I'm expecting on that one. Towerborn, need a release date for that. Maybe that would fit in well in November. Avowed, they're going to have a theater showing for it. We already know it's now coming out next year. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, and there's also the potential for Game Pass drops, where they can just start announcing some stuff that's going into Game Pass during the event, and that of course creates a lot of excitement because it's stuff you can just play right then and there. So I do expect them to lean in heavily to the subscription service that they have gone all in on seemingly for the last couple of years. But then that moves us over to surprises or predictions, things that I feel like could happen here, and a few long shots even. One in particular is Nintendo and Sony. While they're not going to be at Gamescom, they could still have a trailer or just something they throw in there. Like Nintendo most likely will buy like just ad spots during opening night live, as we've seen before at some of Keighley's other events. Nintendo's not there necessarily to showcase a game, but they'll buy 30 seconds or 60 seconds of runtime to tell you about their Switch system or some of their holiday lineup, and that's it, just commercials being run. Sony, though, they do have their Lego Horizon game, which still needs a release date, by the way. So that's another game that's going to start filling up that release calendar for Q4, and that maybe is something that's here. Okay, here's when it's coming out: PlayStation, Switch, PC, October. Maybe something like that. And then we move on to Sega, who will be at this event with an unannounced game. We saw Yakuza Wars. That was trademarked, and I'm kind of thinking it is going to be something in that series with Like a Dragon. However, they did say that the next game is going to be something that the fan base will not expect. It's going to be something brand new, very different. At first I heard that, I said, oh, that's a mobile game, but now I'm kind of thinking maybe it's just an offshoot and something that has different gameplay elements to it, similar to how when Like a Dragon, so Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon came out, and it was a turn-based RPG. Maybe it's something like that. This, for example, Yakuza Wars, maybe it's like a sim game, right, where you're kind of building up your faction and you're going against other factions, and it's more from like a managerial role. Maybe it's a racing game. That's the thing right now with Like a Dragon and how they've treated that franchise. It could legitimately be anything, and I do like them taking chances on different gameplay styles. So I'm curious, at least as to what this turns out to be. But that is kind of what I'm expecting, is Yakuza Wars to take some sort of form into a game reveal here with Sega. Metal Gear Solid Delta still needs a release date, and I'm starting to think it's going to be in 2025 because we're kind of in August now, and this is a big release. We still haven't seen that release date, and unless they want to put it out in December, I sort of feel like next year might be better for this one, especially since Konami already has Silent Hill 2 coming out in October. Do you really want to crowd up Q4 with multiple releases from your company? Probably not. So, and the other thing with that, though, is it's Konami, and we know how Jeff and Konami are right now, specifically Jeff towards Konami. I don't think they're going to have much of a showing here at all. So Metal Gear Solid Delta probably won't be here. Maybe look towards Sony State of Play or something for that to show up. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Game Collection, that should get a release date. We've already kind of seen it looks like third week of November, as a retailer put that information out a bit early. For Nintendo, kind of adjacent to Nintendo, the Pokemon Company does still need to announce their trading card game Pocket, like the one for mobile phones that they showed off with people opening packs of cards over and over and over again by swiping. It's possible that they do make that reveal during what Pokemon Worlds is going on right now. They could announce the release date there, but if not, this seems like a good spot for them to drop it as well. There won't be anything Hollow Knight Silksong, so take from that what you will, as people are now getting pretty concerned about this game, and I get it, because it's been so long with this game from Hollow Knight for Team Cherry that it's almost becoming it's almost fatigue-inducing now, because that's all people hear or talk about when we go into an event. Where's Hollow Knight Silksong? And it's never there. So here's hoping they figure that one out soon, because I'd hate for it to go so long that when they do make that announcement, the hype is too great for it, and it just cannot live up to expectations. Even if it's a 10 out of 10, it's like, yeah, but the hype was an 11 out of 10, and it cannot match it. You know what? Actually, I just thought of something with Sega, and I want to circle back around, because we talked about the unannounced game alongside of Yakuza Wars. What about Alien Isolation 2? And it sounds weird to say that, but recently on Reddit, there was like this unverified rumor / leak that popped up. And that was one of the games that was mentioned, Alien Isolation 2. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? First of all, it's been like 9 years since the first one came out, which is like mind-blowing to me to think that it's been that long since that game released, almost a decade. But also, we just had the new Alien movie that's like come out, and people are really, really happy with it. And it seems like a good time to kind of ride the wave with that, get that announcement. And the fact that it's been so long makes me think that could even be a 2025 release. So that would actually be pretty cool, because the first Alien Isolation was really cool. Like, if you have not played it, I recommend checking it out. It's just a very kind of different take on Alien, which before we were just soldiers blasting away at them. In that one, it was definitely a cat and mouse game where you were constantly running from the xenomorph and you were always overpowered. And it was a really cool experience that definitely had a lot of uneasiness, a lot of dread involved. And it's one that I definitely recommend picking up even around kind of like that Halloween time. Square Enix could also be there with Final Fantasy 16, as we've been hearing so much about its PC release, even drivers for NVIDIA getting updated with this. Seems like a good time to just kind of show up and say, hey, Final Fantasy 16, go into PC next month. You can pre-order now, and we'll get some extra stuff for it. But that game, I think, could use a bit of a jumpstart with a PC release, as we've seen Square talk more and more about their HD gaming slowing down a bit, and mobile and like their MMO stuff taking over basically the brunt of their revenue generation right now with investors. So having Final Fantasy 16 get moving again with the PC release, and that is a game that looks awesome on the PS5, but no matter how you play it, there's an issue, right? So if you do it in like graphics mode, the frame rate's not exactly great for an action game, but if you do it in performance mode, the visuals do take a bit of a hit when it comes to not necessarily the blurriness to it, but there's a lot of, like, for example, a lot of the stuff around the characters will be breaking up in motion, and it is something noticeable. PC clearly will give us the best look possible at that game, and that's something I wouldn't even mind seeing if they have like a benchmark tool for it, just to see how my PC would handle 16. And then finally, we have this Xbox game that's rumored to go to PS5. And this is something I feel like people may be hyping up more than they should be because there are expectations that it could be Forza Horizon 5, it could be Halo, it could be Gears of War. I kind of feel like it might be something a bit more mundane where people see it and go, oh, okay, I'm thinking Flight Simulator. Just a guess, and it might not even be announced this week, but that's sort of my expectation. The next game is probably Flight Simulator. It sticks out a bit more. It's more unique than a lot of the other titles, similar to what we saw with Sea of Thieves. So because of that, I feel like it would actually do pretty well on the PS5 just because there's really nothing else like it there. But I think we're going to have a lot of fun this week. It seems like Gamescom should be better than last year. And after looking again at their release schedule for September, October, November, it's already packed, and then you have a ton of games and the release dates now, so we are going to have a situation come up, especially once we get into September, where every single week there will probably be 2, 3, even 4 high-profile games releasing, some of them all on the same day. So it's definitely going to become very hectic here after what's been a bit quieter of a summer. It's going to be something else as we get into the next couple of weeks. But let me know what you guys think about this down below. Your best predictions for Gamescom coming up, and what are some of the games you're looking forward to hearing more about. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.